Hi, it's Winton, and I'd like to welcome you to our Freelance Friday session and mention that I just returned from a 4-day conference in Atlanta with International Living, and it was great to see everybody out, pretty much mostly with no masks, and sort of felt like a little bit like pre-pandemic. So it was great to tap into all that pent up energy of people not going to conferences for a period of time and getting a chance to talk to folks and have breakfast, lunch, and dinner with folks and that kind of thing. So it was a very fun event, very enjoyable, and great to see the enthusiasm for getting back out there in the world, and especially baby boomers and 50 plus kind of staking their claim in in the future. You know, a lot of plans have been on hold for a period of time, and people have been trying to kind of find their way. We've had the new resignation with lots of people going back to work and saying not really. And then we've also had what I would call the quiet resignation, sort of, which is a few surveys have come out and shown that people are just doing the minimum they have to do to get by. There's just no enthusiasm for what the company is doing and that sort of thing, and they feel like they're in a time where companies have lost a lot of key employees over the last 2.5 years. That the ones they have are in a more protected job space than they might be as they try to reconstitute their labor force. And of course, the ones that are there, the ones that do show up, are the ones that they need there to kind of keep the wheels on the business, but not really optimum, and then we have the Bloomberg article recently. Let me see if I can pop that up here. And just talking about in a recent survey of companies that 75% of them are hiring freelancers in lieu of employees. Let me see if this will let me display the article here. You may want to look at it. I'll put the link um, in the chat window. Just give me one second here. There we go. Share screen. Go. And we're going to share the screen. And we're going to share this tab. Let's see. Not doing it here. So what I'm going to do is put that back in the put this post in the chat so you can take a look at it. But the idea that more than 75% of businesses prefer to hire freelancers in uncertain times because they don't quite know what it's going to look like going forward. And of course, we're expecting to have lots of interesting things happen after the election coming up. I was talking to a freelance buyer just recently, and he said that his company was well equipped to go forward after the election, but they needed to wait till the election to unleash their new projects to kind of get a sense of which direction the country is going in and which projects are going to be funded and which ones aren't, and that kind of thing. He felt very confident that his company would thrive in either environment, but you don't want to go down two paths. You only have enough money to fund one path, and for that reason, he was waiting for a period of time. So the number one question that we get when we're at a conference like this one with International Living in the last week is, what could I possibly do online? People, there's various times during these events. We do an all-day training on the first day, and then we do several other presentations on the second day, and then we do a workshop, kind of a let's see what a breakout session on the third day, and lots of people. We talk about freelancing. We talk about the ability of baby boomers to do freelancing and all that kind of stuff. And the number one question we get is, "What can I possibly do?" This comes from not having any exposure to online freelance networks. And many people, baby boomers, not so much the 50 plus, but the baby boomers are more concerned about their technology skills. And I ask them a few questions. Do you do email on a regular basis? Do you look at Facebook or Instagram or whatever? And a lot of people do that kind of thing, and they use Microsoft Word to write letters, and they might have used an application like PowerPoint in their career. And these are all springboard points from which they can launch into a career working online. Once you get familiar with a few things, uh, the systems now are so much easier to use than when I first came onto the Elan system over 20 years ago. It was pretty tough to figure out how to find work and that kind of thing. But even back then, it was light years ahead of being a freelancer and kind of having to go out and beat the pavement to look for jobs. You could go into the system and look for jobs, and you could look at a whole bunch of jobs, and you could bid on a whole bunch of jobs in a few hours in the morning once you figured out how to do that. And this whole skills thing is most people are already doing more online than they thought, than they realized when I have this little conversation with them. And then there's some people that don't, and there are lots of courses that are out there, many of them free, some of them at local community college type environments, some of them online, taught online, that you can take and really very quickly build your skills to the necessary level. If you're asking, say, I saved my file and I can't find it, you probably need one of those classes. But most people now, after 20 years of computer use, and whether it's sending pictures to the grandkids or writing proposals at work or doing email or ordering things from Amazon, just anything really, have a lot more experience than you may consider. Um, and the next thing about it, about working online, the second thing is they haven't really, uh, you know, they think that their age is a barrier, and actually age works to your benefit when you work online, because it represents experience. It represents usually a broader set of skills. It also represents a broader, uh, what we would call a domain of knowledge. When you've worked in a variety of organizations, you have quite a bit of expertise that you've cultivated along the way. I was just read an article that they're now discovering, which has long been believed, that the more problems that you solve, whether it's in your personal life or it's in your career life, um, that you create a template basically in your brain for solving problems of a similar kind. And it's the accumulation of these templates that really creates what we might call wisdom. The just knowing how to put the pieces together. So a very interesting aspect of figuring this stuff out. And it's fascinating, the brain science that is going on now, and putting all that together. And then the third myth is that it's going to be hard to find work. And in the old days, when I started my consulting business, freelance business 30 years ago or 20 years ago, I printed up business cards and I went to Chamber of Commerce meetings and I had awkward conversations and went to Kiwanis meetings and different kind of things where I thought my services might be of value to somebody, and then had a number of awkward conversations that really didn't, many of them didn't go anywhere. And the world of freelancing is very different today, especially if you work through these online networks like Upwork and freelancer.com and Fiverr, because you can log into those and based on your skill sets, look up literally thousands of jobs that are available every day, from something that might take you a half hour to 2 hours to do, all the way through something that is, might span over months or even a year and longer. So lots of good opportunity to go out there and talk with buyers without having to do that sort of beating the pavement kind of stuff that goes on in the world of most freelancers. And really the thing that tends to stop freelancers that are baby boomers and 50 and above, because they just don't know where the work's going to come from. And, that's the great thing today, like all things online, just like eBay revolutionized the planet when they came along with their auction system and people could buy things at various prices and that sort of thing. That was a beautiful thing. And the freelance world is there now. It's funny when I talk about these topics at something like an international living conference, and there might be 300 people in the room, and I'll talk a little bit about these networks, and I ask how many people have ever heard of these networks before. Uh, they just heard about them from me, and usually about a dozen people raise their hand out of 300. So even today, most people don't know these networks exist. But in my mind, once you get on the network and you get oriented, which is kind of the business we're in, is training folks to do that. You their own what would you say? Their own experience and wisdom takes over once they're oriented. It's kind of like moving to a new city. Once you figure out where the grocery store is, where the place you work is, where your uh, doctor is, where the Costco is, that kind of thing. Once you get those sort of markers in your geography and now in your virtual geography, it's very easy um, to sort of navigate the waters of this kind of thing. So, very much something that is welcome. So those are the 3 points that I wanted to cover. Is that most people have more tech skills than they think they have. Uh, Most people think that age is a disadvantage, and really it is an advantage because of your problem-solving skills and your experience communicating with people and that sort of thing. And then the third, and probably the most important, is the jobs are all neatly lined up for you every morning if you're working on one of these networks, and you can find things that specially focus on the kind of things that you're interested in doing. So those are the 3 things I wanted to talk through today. Happy to answer any questions on that, even if you're watching the replay of this, and we welcome those of you that are watching the replay, because that's how most people are able to watch it. And for those of you that I'll see next Tuesday night, our members that are taking a look at this, we'll look forward to seeing you on Tuesday night. So have a great week freelancing. Take care.